There's an old school phrase called Jack of all trades, master of none. I think that this applies to Palworld very well, and that's not meant to be an insult. I expected Palworld to be just Pokemon with guns, which it is. You can give a little monkey guy an AK-47 and he will kill other little monster creatures and smile and ask for approval. That absolutely happens in this game. But more than that, that is only a small piece of what this game is. Palworld is basically a game where you capture your pals or Pokemon or other copyright infringing possible things that are happening, and then you go out and use that team to help build a base. And you capture lots of different pals and use them to automate your base building and automate your crafting and material gathering. And then you use that to expand that base, make yourself more powerful, level up the pals, and then go and capture even more powerful ones and defeat other bosses around the map or other people in multiplayer. And that's sort of what this game is. It's half Pokemon, half Valheim Rust, and then somehow another half, 150 baby, of third-person shooter. And it works. I don't know why it does, but it works. I'm not super deep into the game. I've played about 5 or so hours of Palworld, but the 5 hours I spent, I had fun. I listened to music, podcasts, built up my base, went out and captured new pals, explored the world. It was interesting, and it was surprisingly gripping. I just was constantly obsessed with, hey, let's expand the base. Oh, let's go find some new pals. Basically, anytime you get sick of one portion of what the game's doing, you can go off and do a different one. Oh, you want to capture pals right now? Sure, go do that. Explore. Oh, do you want to go back and expand your base now that you're bored with that? Sure, go do that. Or do you just want to run around and fight a few bosses at key areas? Absolutely. I do think it's worth mentioning, though, that a lot of what's cool about Palworld is imitation of other things. Much in the way that people accuse Genshin Impact of imitating Breath of the Wild, Palworld imitates now Breath of the Wild and Genshin Impact. It has, even like when you find a new area, it plays a little piano jingle, and I'm just like, okay, that's Tears of the Kingdom Breath of the Wild. You look at some of the PAL designs, and you're like, oh wow, those look real close to Pokemon. But at the same time, I don't think there's anything wrong with imitating something, as long as it's not the only thing you have going for it. If they just ripped off Pokemon designs, handed them guns, and basically made a rip-off Pokemon game, yeah, I don't think I would like that. But that's not what Palworld is. Sure, creature collecting is a part of it, but it's more so a base builder survival game at its core. It just happens to use that as part of its influence. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. In the same way that, as much as it's been criticized, as I said earlier, Genshin Impact took a lot from Breath of the Wild, it still does its own thing, and I wouldn't say you get the same experience from playing both games. You can play Pokemon and you can play Palworld, but you won't have the same experience when you play both of those. There's lots of different monster collecting team builder games out there. There's Persona, if you want to really count that. There's Digimon, there's Monster Hunter. Well, that's not really the same, but we'll pretend I didn't compare those. But yeah, I don't know how else to describe it other than it takes influence from a lot of things, but at its core, as I said at the start, it's a jack of all trades, master of none. It doesn't do anything really new. It just combines a bunch of things people like into a fun and enjoyable experience. And I think that that's okay. It's a fun sit down and enjoy game. I don't know if it's a game I will spend tons of hours on, but for its, believe it was on sale on Steam when I got it for around $25. I don't actually remember what the real full price tag is. But if you're looking for a game to just play and relax, Palworld's probably a good option. It's great to just build a base, go fight other pals, go fight bosses, go explore, and then get better gear and build things up. It's just interesting and simple in that way, and yet it can stay gripping and entertaining for a good amount of time. I'll talk about it more in the future after I put a few more hours into it and make a definitive video on it, but this is pretty much my first impressions. I enjoyed the game and I had fun with it, and that's really all I can say. We'll find out in the future if it gets out of early access and becomes a more full experience. I definitely would love to cover that at some point, but for now, Palworld's a pretty good time, and if you have an interest in it, maybe check it out. Especially if you enjoy Pokemon and stuff like that and aren't deeply offended by it kind of ripping it off. I think you'll enjoy it, and you'll have a good time playing it. So, that's all I got to say. Welcome back, and thanks for watching. Hope to have more videos coming out on it in the future, and other games that I played, and I'll catch you all on the flip side. Peace.